Hello friends and welcome back to Sir Ezra the Watchful. We're talking House of the Dragon Season 2. What'd you guys think? For anybody who wants to gripe and complain that there wasn't enough action or battles, you haven't seen the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. This is a drama series. Straight up drama. And we did have action. We did have huge battles. We have dragons. It was epic. It was large. It was dramatic. There's slow builds. For me, it was phenomenal. Loved it. Loved every second of it. And I get it. I get why folks might be a little upset that this was just one big, long build-up to the Dance of the Dragons. And it did seem to kind of sideline one of the most popular characters, Daemon Targaryen. However, the season finale, I believe, was a big payoff. So throughout Season 1 and Season 2, Daemon Targaryen has been upset that he is not the heir. He is not trusted with the secret of A Song of Ice and Fire. Now in Season 2, we see him at Harrenhal and we see tons of prophetic dreams. He's a man wrestling with his destiny. Daemon is trying to find himself. He's trying to figure out what role he plays in this whole Game of Thrones. And what's super cool about this season is that his role is not necessarily about the Game of Thrones, but more so about A Song of Ice and Fire. In the season finale, he finally understands what his role is. He gets it. He understands that a greater battle is coming and he foresees future events. He saw a future filled with darkness, White Walkers, Daenerys, her dragons, all of it. So although he seemingly has been sidelined this whole time, now we see him reaffirming his relationship with Rhaenyra. We see him playing his part. This leads to a pivotal moment where he bends the knee and declares Rhaenyra to be the true queen. It's dramatic. It's epic. The Blacks are now united and they're ready to go to war. But although the Blacks are ready to go to war, the Greens are ready to compromise. This is huge. This doesn't happen in the books. Alicent Hightower comes to meet with Rhaenyra. And again, earlier in the season, Rhaenyra went to go meet with Alicent. Those things were huge, highly unexpected. During the season, we do learn that Alicent actually truly 100% did believe that Viserys wanted her son, Aegon, to be the king. Now, unfortunately, she got a little confused, and Rhaenyra realizes that Alicent made a mistake. Rhaenyra understands that this is a misinterpretation of the Song of Ice and Fire, Aegon's dream. So the big question is, what do they do about it? Earlier in the season, Rhaenyra actually is trying to go to King's Landing to fix things. If there's a way to peacefully end this conflict, Rhaenyra wants to find that with Alicent. And at that time, things are set in motion, and Alicent doesn't see a way forward without war. So as we know, Rhaenyra goes back to Dragonstone and we see this big epic moment with all the dragon seeds coming forward. The Blacks are literally increasing their dragon power so they can crush the Greens. And now Daemon's on board with all the prophetic visions. He now knows the role that he plays and he's on board. And then Alicent walks in and says, guess what? I'm out. I don't think we should keep this going any longer than we have to. And Rhaenyra says, so what about your son though? Aegon, he's king. He's gonna have to go. Now, why couldn't he take the Black? The realm would see Rhaenyra as weak. She needs to come in and establish herself and completely annihilate any sort of opposition to her. If Aegon does live, then opposition can sort of rally around him. So it's heartbreaking. Alicent has to essentially say, yes, a son for a son. It's crazy. And she does, which I didn't expect her to do. Then enter Daemon Targaryen. This dude's crazy. And it's weird because he kind of idolizes his uncle, Daemon Targaryen. And although Daemon is wild and unpredictable and a bit crazy, Aemon is crazier. And we can see that through the character Helaena Targaryen. This character is a gem. Helaena is the character that everyone should be paying attention to. She shows up in Daemon's dream. What she's saying, what she's knitting, and what she's drawing on the wall are extremely important to this series. There are so many times where Helaena has actually predicted the future. She can see things that are coming. And it's sad because no one seems to be paying any attention to what she's saying. Mild spoiler here, when Aemon tries to get her to get on Dreamfire to join the fight, she seems to predict his actual fate. Helaena reveals to Aemon that the path that he's on is ultimately going to lead to his doom. And I have some pretty crazy theories about Helaena and her role in this season and her role in Season 3. Remember, she has prophetic visions. She has dreams. She can see into the future. It's important to pay attention to her and her children in the future sacking of King's Landing. I think it was Season 1, too. If you go back and look, she's knitting something, and I think she's knitting a spider. I've got some crazy theories on how she also kind of maybe could connect to Varys the spider later in the main series. So again, all of this is building and building. There's a path forward for peace. Alicent and Rhaenyra have set that up. And the tragedy here is that Aemon is literally probably going to ruin it. Things are already set in motion that they really can't stop. And now Daemon's on board and he will do anything he can to put Rhaenyra on the throne. That moment was epic, by the way. Another storyline that we had going on during season 2 was Rhaena Targaryen. This one is a bit of a letdown. She's up in the Vale, it's a bit boring, she's not a dragon rider. And I think I know why the show did this. We've already seen the dragon seeds come forward and claim their dragons and ride out, and it's pretty epic. So with Rhaena, it's just the fact that she finally did find her dragon, she gets there, we don't really see her mount the dragon and take off, but it's cool, it's just not what I thought it was going to be. But hey, I'm happy she has a dragon, okay? The more dragons in House the Dragon, literally the better. And finally, another slow-burning storyline throughout all of this is Corlys Velaryon. His loss of Rhaenys Targaryen and Meleys was so sad, so crazy, and it was one of the highlights of the season, but also super tragic for him. We see him wrestling with his legacy. He's a character who cared only about himself, and now he's renaming his ship and he's checking in on his bastard sons. In the books, Corlys Velaryon is super awesome. He's an epic commander, he's been all over the world, and as you saw here at the end of season 2, there's a huge battle coming up in season 3. Now again, you've heard me say this whole time, there's a battle coming in season 3. The Dance of Dragons is coming in season 3, and everyone thought we were going to see the start of that here in the season finale of season 2, but we didn't. Personally, I'm okay with that. I think season 3 is going to be epic. It's going to be wild. And I go back to what I said at the beginning. Game of Thrones did not start off with a ton of epic battles. There was a lot of drama and a lot of one-on-one conflict. Eddard Stark was literally just beheaded at the end of season 1. And all of Game of Thrones was really just a slow build. We had those moments where we had seasons that were full of action, jam-packed with battles, and we'll get there with House of the Dragon. We're only in season 2. So for me personally, I loved this season and I'm super stoked. I thought what they did with Daemon was huge. Showing us Bloodraven, showing us that cave, showing us the future and where this is all headed with Dany and the Song of Ice and Fire. As a book reader, I'm in love. Freaking loved it. And I really have loved what they've done with Alicent Hightower. In the book, she's just a evil green queen who does her thing, and we don't really understand her motives or what she's after. But in the show, whole different character. She's a much more dynamic character, and I'm still Team Green. What's up with Otto Hightower, by the way? Where was he at? He's in a cage somewhere, headed where? What happened? So all in all, for me, this season was all about character development. It was about how do we press this story forward, how do we find a way to maybe resolve the conflict right before we're going to dive into some major epic battles in season 3. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments, and as always, stay watchful.